The CONCACAF World Cup Qualifying is coming to an end. But before that, let's recap the previous window. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to TMTV, and welcome to another CONCACAF World Cup Qualifying recap, where we'll go through every single game of the previous window in the most summarized way possible to keep you updated. The last one was very successful, so we're repeating it this time, even though this is a lot of work. It's a lot of games to go through, so please support the channel by hitting that like button. Now look, before we start this video, this camp had 3 rounds, essentially 3 set of games. So I'll refer to each set of 4 games as a round. So we're going to go for round 1, 2, and 3, where every team faced each other essentially at this point. With that said, everyone, before I start, I'd like to send a message to the rude Canadians. Congratulations, you guys are pretty much at Qatar at this point, but you gotta relax. Sometimes it feels like the Canadians are just in love with me at this point. Don't forget, the last time you made it to the World Cup, I wasn't even born. So congratulations, but relax. Alright everyone, let's get started the video. As I already said, don't forget to smash that like button to support this series. This one was a lot of work. Let's go start with round number 1. Okay, game 1 of round number 1 that I want to talk about was Costa Rica 1, Panama 0. Costa Rica came into this match at home with the hopes of keeping their hopes and dreams to make it to the World Cup for a 3rd time in a row alive. Being 5 points behind Panama, this was a must-win, while for Panama, a draw did not sound all that bad. Prior to the match, Costa Rica was in 5th place with 9 points and Panama was in 4th with 15. The first half ended 0-0. Both teams had a few good chances, but they were struggling to hit the target. Panama, as always, great as a team, while Costa Rica was just relying a lot on Joel Campbell to get something done up top. Now, yeah, Costa Rica relies a lot on Campbell. He's probably their best player in this qualifying, in my opinion, but maybe one of their most reliable players, at least this window, has been a name everyone knows. Their super sub, Bryan Ruiz. Yes, and Bryan Ruiz came off the bench at the second half. Now, Panama started off playing better than Costa Rica in the second half, creating 2 good goal-scoring opportunities, but at the 65th minute, after a great play by Campbell down the right flank, Costa Rica gets a shot saved by Luis Meija, but Bryan Ruiz was there to score off a rebound and get Costa Rica the lead and put some fire to this game. Gabriel Torres almost scored for Panama off a back heel, and honestly, Panama did have opportunity to score till the end of the game, even hitting the post at the 90th minute. But it was just not meant to be at this point, and Costa Rica would finish with a 1-0 win. A crucial win that brought Costa Rica back into the fight for that 4th seed. Game number 2 from round 1 is Jamaica 1, Mexico 2 at Jamaica. Jamaica would also arrive at this match with the hope of keeping their Qatar dream alive. Sitting 7 points behind the top 4 and playing at home, nothing but a win was acceptable. While for Mexico, they were coming in from a rough November camp with 0 points by losing to the US and Canada, so they had a win. I also don't remember in my lifetime Mexico losing 3 straight World Cup qualifying games in a row. Regardless, Mexico was still on track to make to the World Cup, but this match was key to keep a talented Jamaican side that had underachieved to this point, and so Tata Martino could, keep his job. Mexico came in for this one with an ancient midfield of Hector Herrera and Andres Guardado. Tecatito and Alvarez were off the bench, and Chucky Lozano did not dress for this game. But hey, at least Chaca Rodriguez was benched. But not for long. Yeah, he immediately came in at the 6th minute after Jorge Sanchez got injured. The first half was all Mexico. Andre Blake was absolutely fantastic, making some world-class saves. As for Jamaica, all they did was they had 1 shot on goal from Antonio that was blocked. Damian Lowe ended up getting a red card late in the first half. So the stage was set for Mexico to get an easy win in the final 45 minutes. But no, things got complicated. The second half started and Jamaica got the lead in the first 5 minutes with Daniel Johnson. He was able to give Jamaica the lead. The ball stayed alive in the box after a corner kick and he just blasted it in. Mexico's constant struggle to defend set pieces. But then my boy Lainez came in for Guardado and I was proud. The rest of the second half was all Mexico. It was not until the 81st minute that Henry Martin would score with his belly off a rebound from an Andre Blake save. And a minute later, Vega would score for Mexico their second goal, aka their game winner and lifesaver for Tata Martino and El Tri. In my opinion, that would technically end Jamaica's hopes and dreams to make it to Qatar, even though not mathematically, but that loss kind of pretty much did it, especially with Costa Rica winning. Now let's talk about United States versus El Salvador, game number 3. The USA versus La Selecta. It seems like for many, this round was all about keeping their World Cup dreams alive, like El Salvador, and for the other top 4 to just step away. As for the US, it was all about getting 3 points at home and getting a step closer to Qatar. The US men's national team came in with a strong lineup. Greg went in with his false 9 experiment with Jesus Ferreira, but that didn't go very well. Not awful, just didn't go very well. Jesus had 2 good opportunities to score. He was just not able to bury it. And to be fair, he's better as a 10. Much more productive there. The first 15 minutes of the match, we had El Salvador press the living crap out of the US men's national team. They just did not let us play. As the game cooled off and slowed down a bit, the US had controlled the match for the most part, despite not having the best performance. Now, in terms of scoring opportunities, we most certainly had the best, the United States, while El Salvador's most dangerous chance was a nice shot from Alex Roldan in the first half that went out of bounds. We came back for the second half with no changes despite the struggles to score, but understandable from Greg Berhalter. Sorta, right? We kind of needed a 9 that could score goals and some tactical adjustments, especially in terms of positioning with Pulisic and Yunus Musa, but Greg didn't really change that at halftime. However, at the 52nd minute, with a clutch moment from Weah as he wins a 50-50 ball to get himself in a 1v1 situation with the goalkeeper, he gets his shot blocked, but you know, Jesus Ferreira keeps it alive in the box with a header, and Jedi Robinson gets the US men's national team the lead. Also, let's talk about Robinson's celebration. It's one of my top 10 favorites of all time. From there on, the United States controlled most of the possession, and El Salvador did not offer much danger, ending the game with 0 shots on target and 37% ball possession, as the United States had 5 shots on target and 63% ball possession. Greg did pull off Pulisic for Brendan early, which was a good sub in my opinion, but the other ones, sending in Zardes, Morris, and Acosta, were kind of iffy. Regardless, the United States got the job done, and El Salvador's dreams of making it to Qatar were pretty slim in that point. Alright, game number 4, the last one of the first round, was Honduras 0 and Canada 2. Honduras came to this match pretty much eliminated at this point. They have been the worst team in World Cup qualifying with no wins, so Canada were the favorites, even though it was away. The first match they played, Canada did play at home, and Honduras managed to get a draw. So there was some belief that Honduras could do some damage. After all, this game was at home. But again, it didn't happen. Honduras is just a complete mess, especially under the new coach, Dario Gomez. Lost every single game. As for Canada, they came into this game to get a step closer to Qatar and try to hold on to first place in qualifiers, which they did. Now, this was a very CONCACAF-like match. Some hard hits. Honduras made it very physical, right? However, I do want to point out that the field was not that bad. Canada started off flaming hot with Tejan Buchanan at the 10th minute. At a moment of brilliance down the right flank, he was able to whip in a nice cross that led to Danilo Maldonado striking against his own net, scoring an own goal and giving Canada the lead. In terms of opportunities, both teams had a few in the first half. Seems like Honduras might have had a bit more, while Canada was able to create in transition. As for the second half, Canada started off better, with 2 great chances from Jonathan David in the first 10 minutes, and the second one, a beautiful 1v1 situation that he took down the defender but was not able to finish against the Honduran goalkeeper. Honduras started to get some momentum in the game, and Borjan made a beautiful save off a header, along with some easier saves as well. He has been special. It seems like at one point Honduras was even going to get a draw, but then Jonathan David had something to say about it. At the 72nd minute, Fraser blasted the ball forward, and David showed all his technique, able to stop the ball off his chest, head it down, and with 2 touches, get on a 1v1 situation with the goalkeeper with a clinical finish to put the nail in the coffin and get Canada a 2-0 away win in CONCACAF and a step closer to Qatar. Now, Honduras had more possession and was dangerous, but having a 9 like Jonathan David will do it, and Canada got the 3 points away. Rightfully so. Okay, now we're out to the second round of games, and the first one I want to talk about is Panama 3, Jamaica 2. And for this game, Panama came in trying to bounce back from their 1-0 loss to Costa Rica in the previous match and to hold the top 4 position, while Jamaica kinda were trying to keep their hopes alive that they could still make it to Qatar, but at this point, in my opinion, they were already finished. As for the match, Jamaica was able to get an early lead off a PK scored by Antonio in the 5th minute. The PK did take a while to get the call, as it did go to the VAR after Ravel Morrison was tripped in the box. Shortly after, Panama had a great goal-scoring opportunity with Aníbal Godoy from close range, but Andre Blake was there for a great save. Not just that, there was also a VAR for Panama and a PK on the 15th minute, but unlike Jamaica, Panama missed, or Andre Blake saved it. Panama was the better team in the first half, no doubt. In the 40th minute, they also had a header that hit the post, but it wasn't until the 43rd minute that they would get rewarded with a bizarre own goal by Javane Brown. Now off to the second half, and Panama again was the better team in the second half, and they were able to get a 3-1 lead with Eric Davis scoring at the 51st and Anibal Melo scoring at the 68th. Late in the game, Andre Gray would cut it down to 3-2 at the 86th minute, but it was then too late for Jamaica. The Reggae Boyz knew then that their journey to Qatar was pretty much over. While for Panama, they were as alive as ever, holding on to that 4th seed. Game number 2 was El Tri versus Costa Rica. 0-0 match at Mexico. And for this game, Mexico was trying to keep the momentum going from their previous win against Jamaica. And while Costa Rica was trying to continue to get closer to the 4th seed while playing Mexico away. This game was in Mexico, and they actually put up a strong lineup in my opinion. Lozano and Tecatito took over the wings. Edson Alvarez was back with Hector Herrera and Rodriguez in the midfield. Cesar Montes got a start at the center back, but yeah, they also had Chaca Rodriguez, Gallardo, and Funes Mori actually, to hurt that lineup. Now, Mexico's main issue in this game was hitting the target. They had 25 shots and only 1 hit the target. They most certainly were missing a player like Raul Jimenez. They had 73% ball possession. The impressive part is Costa Rica managed to hit the target 3 times with just 6 shots, which is way more efficient than El Tri if you ask me. Despite the somewhat dominant performance from Mexico, Costa Rica did get close to scoring throughout the match, and to be fair, Mexico did score with Funes Mori in the 30th minute, but he was offsides. Tata Martino tried to make some changes to get a goal. He sent in Henry Martin, Arteaga, and Gallardo. In my opinion, Arteaga is better than Gallardo, I'll tell you guys that. Regardless, the game ended 0-0, a result not so great for either side, but I think since it's away, Costa Rica will take it. Mexico also probably learned that you can't win a game if you don't hit the target. Doesn't matter how many shots you get. The third game of the night that I want to talk about was Honduras 0, El Salvador 2. A match that honestly meant very little in terms of qualifying to Qatar, as both teams were pretty much eliminated at this point. Actually, Honduras fully eliminated. But El Salvador took the game very seriously and got a historic win. It was the first away win in World Cup qualifying history for El Salvador, a win that also meant that mathematically they still have a slight chance of making it to Qatar. As for Honduras, it was a complete mess. Coach Hernan Gomez pulled a Greg Berhalter and made 7 changes from the starting 11 that faced Canada a few days back, including benching players like Albert Ellis and Choco Lozano. Now let's talk about the game. So Honduras controlled possession 64% and created more goal-scoring chances, but then El Salvador, just like the Canada game, won it. El Salvador, on the other hand, was able to score 2 goals, one of them at the 35th minute with Nelson Bonilla, and a very late goal with Darwin Cheddin to close the deal and get El Salvador this historic win. A team with a lot of limitations, El Salvador, that is for sure, however, very well coached, and I most certainly hope they make it to the 2026 World Cup. Yeah, I said 2026 because 2022, that ship has sailed. The last game of round number 2 is a game that very much hurt me, and that was Canada 2, United States 0, the 2-0 that we didn't need and we deserved. Canada and the US men's national team came into this very anticipated match as this slowly becomes a big rivalry, and I love it. The US men's national team did not start the game sharp, and Canada got an early lead at the 8th minute with Kyle Larin. So Matt Turner took a goal kick where the center backs were still on a build-up position, and it was a poor goal kick also through the middle. Canada was able to win the header. Larin and Jonathan David were able to do a 1-2, and Larin, that he knows how to put the ball in the back of the net, was able to score. Turner could have also done better on defending that shot, but that's completely off topic. Also, Larin had me pay for the days I used to call him a tap-in merchant when he played for Orlando City. For the rest of the first half, the United States controlled possession and was able to get one very good opportunity off a header from Weston McKennie. Borjan was able to make a brilliant save while he was wearing his famous sweatpants. Off to the second half, Canada continued to play the same way, letting the United States hold possession while not really allowing the United States to create any meaningful goal-scoring opportunities. Greg also would not really make any subs until the 70th minute, where he would send in Acosta, Morris, and Pepe. To be fair, the best goal-scoring opportunity in the second half was Larin off a rebound from a Turner save, which Larin should have scored, but it was a double save from Turner, brilliant to save the United States. In the 95th minute, Canada was able to put the nail in the coffin for this one as Adekumbe, in transition, was able to get a nice finish off a nice lefty shot. John Herdman really knows how to get the best out of this Canadian roster, and he showed that to Greg Berhalter. This pretty much puts the Canadian side in Qatar. As for the United States, things are still looking on track, but they could get dramatic, especially after we suffered that PTSD from Cuba in 2017. All right, now to the last set of games, round 3. And let's start with the game that we very much enjoyed. United States 3, Honduras 0 at a very cold night in Minnesota. The U.S. men's national team came into this one needing 3 points to arrive at the last window in a comfortable or semi-comfortable situation, while Honduras came in with nothing to play for, just trying to stay warm. It was cold. We even had, unfortunately, some Honduran players having hypothermia. Now, I was confident for this game, but remember, back in Cuba in 2017, when we faced Trinidad and Tobago, they also had nothing to fight for, so I was cautiously optimistic. The United States started off the game pretty sharp and got an early goal in the first 10 minutes with Weston McKennie off a header after a beautiful delivery from Kellyn Acosta. He brought in his inner David Beckham in this game essentially. At the 37th minute, again off set pieces, the ball stayed alive in the box. Another Acosta delivery, not as good as the first one, as the ball had to stay alive in the box, and Walker Zimmerman took care of it, scoring the goal with his feet and getting the U.S. men's national team a comfortable 2-0 lead at halftime. Now the second half, it was all U.S. men's national team. Timothy Weah was lighting up the right flank. Luca De La Torre was having his way in the midfield, progressing the ball forward with ease. Weston McKennie was fantastic. Kellyn Acosta continued to have a strong performance, and our back line kept it safe. At the 64th minute, Greg Berhalter sent in Christian Pulisic, which worried me a bit at the time as he could get a muscle injury, right? Playing 2 games in a row, then on this weather, super cold, could develop a muscle injury, especially a player that's been prone to hamstring injuries, but he was fine. Actually, he was very much fine. It took Christian Pulisic 10 seconds to just get fouled as soon as he got into the field, and it took him 3 minutes to score for the U.S. men's national team, get us the 3-0 lead, and put also the nail in the coffin for this match. The United States got the job done. Yes, the opponent helped. They've been poor the entire qualifying campaign. However, also, this is actually a dominant performance. It was 3-0, 75% ball possession, 8 shots on target versus 0 against Honduras, unlike the Canadian performance that Greg Berhalter thought it was dominant for some reason. Regardless, you can only beat what's in front of you. The United States got the job done and got a step closer to Qatar. How close? We made a video about that. I'll talk about it at the end of the video. We're not going to address that in this video, but we have 21 points and we're getting there. The second game on this round will be Jamaica 0, Costa Rica 1. And Costa Rica went down to Jamaica needing a win if they wanted still to have good chances of qualifying to Qatar by the 4th seed at least, or maybe even the 3rd seed, to be honest. They still have a chance right there. However, this is not a high volume scoring team, so as the score said, they will try to 1-0 the heck out of you. And obviously having Keylor Navas in the goal does help. As for Jamaica, well, mathematically they still had a chance, but come on, their hopes to go to Qatar have been long gone by the time this game started and completely exterminated by the time this game was over. You know, new coach for Jamaica, same problems. It's all in their federation. The federation's a joke. Now, as for the first half of this game, Jamaica was actually far better. And Keylor Navas actually put on a show of 2 great saves and a couple clutch moments to save Costa Rica. And Antonio was horrible throughout it. That helped Costa Rica for sure. Now, off to the second half, and obviously Costa Rica did go to their super sub by sending in Brian Ruiz in. And at the 60th minute, Campbell was able to draw a PK for Costa Rica, where Andre Blake would go on to save Celso Borges' PK. Another PK save for Andre Blake this window, which he has been absolutely fantastic. But that celebration of the save did not last long. 1 minute later, Joel Campbell got the ball in the right flank, cut middle, and scored for Los Ticos. After that, Jamaica had a bunch of shots off target, and this was a massive away win for Costa Rica, as they are very much alive in the race to make it to Qatar, an experienced team that will likely be in their 3rd straight World Cup if they can finish top 4. Game number 3 is Mexico 1, Panama 0, and this was a massive game for both sides. 1 point was separating both of these teams prior to the game, so Panama came into this one, you know, to maintain that distance, or maybe pull up an upset and even put Mexico in 4th and them in 3rd. Mexico was currently in 3rd at the time, and they wanted to win to widen that gap. Look, for this match, Mexico most certainly had more possession, the stats say it, but they were not as ball dominant as I expected. Also, they just struggled with having a player that can put the ball in the back of the net. Yes, Jimenez was back in the starting 11, and it seemed like it wouldn't have been an issue for this game, but it kinda was, even though Jimenez did get their goal. Now, despite the low score, this was actually a pretty fun game to watch. At the 11th minute, Hector Herrera would save the ball right at the line. That would have given Panama an early lead and could have led to a completely different game. Now, overall in the first half, Panama was a much better team, created the best opportunities, while Mexico was not very threatening. Then we move on to the second half, and Hector Herrera got an early yellow card, and he will miss the U.S. men's national team match in March due to suspension. Right after, Raul Jimenez had a goal disallowed from the VAR, as Lozano had the ball out of bounds when he crossed. Mexico was the better team in the second half, and the subs of having Julian Araujo, Diego Lainez, and Tecatito coming in most certainly played a big role. But it was not until the 78th minute where Diego Lainez was able to draw a PK for Mexico, to which Raul Jimenez would go on, convert the PK, give them the 1-0 lead, and the 3 points at home. A key win for L3 against a direct opponent for the top 3 spot, and opening a 4-point gap, also helping the U.S. men's national team. I think it's safe to say that my boy Lainez, he saved the day. All right, now to the very last game of this window. El Salvador 0, Canada 2. And Canada got a 9-point window, by the way. So if you haven't already, hit that like button regardless of what fan base you're from. I didn't request that in the video, but if you kindly could, it's a great way to support the channel. Canada came into this match wanting to keep and get that 9-point window, and they got it, playing away in CONCACAF, and this time against El Salvador. This game also counted with the return of Eustáquio to their midfield, and this was the first game, coincidence or not, that Canada held more possession. Barely, 51%, but they actually did it. And they didn't hold more possession against Honduras in the United States. So Eustáquio does play a role in that for sure, and a different strategy from John Herdman. As for the game, Jonathan David had a great chance at the 18th minute that was saved by Carabantes. Right after, Eustáquio hit a nice free kick, and again, Carabantes with the save. Little after, Carabantes was making another save. In terms of opportunities, the first half was all Canada. El Salvador's best player was their goalkeeper. As for the second half, it started off a little low until John Herdman decided to send in Tajon Buchanan, Kyle Larin, and Alistair Johnson, shaking up Canada a little bit and changing their formation. These were players that he was wrestling. Roughly 9 minutes after the subs, Larin was able to hit a cross, and Atiba Hudson was able to give Canada the lead on accident in one of the most bizarre goals I've ever seen in my life, where the ball hits his butt on the floor and somehow goes in. I don't know what happened right there. It seemed like Kyle Larin actually was the one that gave Canada a spark off the bench in the second half. Now, El Salvador almost scored late in the game, but Borjan came up big once again, this time without sweatpants, with a huge save on the 92nd minute. But then, as they say it in Brazil, quem não faz, leva, which essentially means if you don't convert your chances, the opposition will. And when you have a 9 like Jonathan David, the job will be taken care of. David, in transition with a clinical finish, was able to kill off the game for Canada and give them 9 points this window with another 2-0 win. And let's be honest, their spot in Qatar, not mathematically, but it's locked in at this point. So yeah, bantering aside, congratulations to Canada for finally returning to a World Cup. The last time they played was in 1986. Alright everyone, that does it for the recap. If you enjoyed this, comment down below, let us know, hit the like button, and we'll continue to do this every window. Well, there's only one left, but we'll do it for the next one as well. I'm not going to go through the full table in this video. We already did a video for that, so keep an eye on the card here in the video, or maybe just look here at the end screen. You'll see that video where we broke down the full table and the possible outcomes of the next window with different results. All right, I want to thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to check Tactical Manager Clips. The link's on the description, a channel where Dustin is putting the highlights of this channel. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and have a great day.